it isn't the maestro himself, don't say you've forgotten me.
Hello, Roddy. Nice to see you.
How marvellous to run into you. They told me you were locked up with the monks in St. Gallen or somewhere, poring over manuscripts. Self-exile, they said. Of course, I knew that wasn't true, because I know you, George. You'd never leave England. You're just not capable of such an act of abandonment, no matter how shabbily the circus treated you. So, what have you been doing all these months? I want to know everything, every little bit. How's the delectable wife? How is the lovely Lady Anne? Not in town at the moment, I hear. Pound to a penny you're shopping for her. Little presents all the time, they tell me. Going away gifts, coming home gifts. Are you back on the beach, George? Or did you never really chuck it in? Is that it, George? Has it all been cover? Cover, George?
Roddy, I've retired.
All right, George, if you say so.
You look well, Roddy, but I mustn't delay you.
Oh, no, George, really, my dear old friend, you can't get away like that. Roddy Martindale simply wouldn't let you. It's months and months since we last had a chinwag. Ah, let me buy you a little aperitif, and then let me take you to dinner. Allow me that privilege. Honor me, George. I can tell by the look of you that no one else has claimed you tonight.
Oh, it's kind of you, but...
It's my role in life, George. We all need to be good at something. We mustn't forget Jebediah. Wasn't he your old tutor?
Yes, once upon a time.
How do you rate Spark, the one who came from the School of Oriental Languages? Place him in the batting order, George. Not quite there. Had trouble with his nerves, so they say.
What a pity.
All dead and gone now, of course, properly appreciated by only a select few like you and me.
You flatter me.
Now, George, let's talk about your old boss, Control. The only head of the circus who ever kept his name a secret. Shall we talk about Control?
If you insist.
Of course, it wasn't a secret to you, was it, George? She never had any secrets from you, his tried and trusted right hand, did he?
I don't know. That's the point about secrets.
Close as thieves, Control and Smiley were, right to the end, so they say.
They are very complimentary.
Now, don't flirt, George. I'm an old trooper. You and Control were just like that. That's why you were thrown out. It's why Bill Hayden's got your job. It's why Percy Alleline got into Control's chair when it ought to be you. Why Bill Hayden's his cupbearer and you're out altogether.
If you say so, Roddy.
I do. I say more than that. Far more. I say this. Control never died at all. He's been seen. In South Africa. Now, we can't blame a man for wanting a bit of peace in the evening of his life. Willie and Arthur walked straight into him in Joburg Airport in the waiting room. Not a ghost. Flesh.
That's the most idiotic story I've ever heard. Control died of a heart attack after a long illness, through most of which he continued to work. Besides, he hated South Africa. He hated everywhere except Surrey, the circus, and Lord's cricket ground.
Yes, of course. Willie Arthur was always the most god-awful liar. I said the same myself. Willie, you should be ashamed of yourself. I suppose what put the last nail into Control's coffin was the Checo scandal. The poor devil that got shot in the back. The one who was so thick with Bill Hayden, with his picture in the newspapers under some fictitious name. But we know his real name, don't we? Jim Perito. Somehow, I don't think I can ever quite believe in Percy Alleline as chief, can you? Might be just my natural cynicism. But power sits poorly on those we've grown up with, doesn't it? And there are so few who can carry it off for me nowadays. And poor Percy's such an obvious fellow, especially after Control, who's a positive serpent. How can anyone take Alleline seriously? Oh, that heavy good fellowship. One has only got to think of him in the old days, lolling in the bar of the Travellers, sucking away on that log of a pipe, and Buying drinks for all the moguls. Well, really. One doesn't like one's perfidy to be subtle, don't you agree? Now, what's his knack, George? Living off the wits of his subordinates, am I right?
Really, Roddy, I can't help you. I never knew Percy as a force, you see, only as a...
Striver? Right. With his eyes on Control's purple, day and night. Yes, well, now he's actually wearing it, and the mob loves him. So who's doing the business for him? Eh, George? Who is it?
I cannot help you.
Who's the clever boots? Well, not Percy, that's for sure. And don't tell me the Americans have started trusting us again, because they'd never fall for Percy.
Roddy, please stop this.
Wonderfully well he's doing. We hear it from all sides. Little committees popping up with funny names. Red carpet for Percy wherever he goes. Tripping the light fantastic along the Whitehall corridors.
You're out of my depth, truly.
So who's earning him his reputation?
No, thank you. I think we've finished now.
It's my party, George. I'll get the bill when I'm ready. So who's pulling the strings for Percy Puppet? How about dashing Bill Hayden, your old rival? In every sense, I'm told. Of course, he never was orthodox, was he? Genius never is. All right, then. It's Roy Bland, the shop-soiled White Hope. The first red brick don to make the circus. And if it's neither of them, and Control is really dead, then there's only one possibility left. It's someone who's pretending to be in retirement. You, George. Admit it.
You featherhead, Martindale, you pompous, bogus, gossiping old featherhead. Roy Bland is not red brick. He was at St. Anthony's College, Oxford.
Now, don't be silly, dear. Of course St. Anthony is red brick. It doesn't make the slightest difference there's a bit of sandstone in the same street. Just because he was your protégé. I suppose he's Bill Hayden's boy now. Well, Bill was father to them all, wasn't he? Or something like that.
It's not mine, thank you.
I hope you're not going to tip him. It's a guinea at Christmas. Anyway, it's my party. Draws them like bees to a honeypot, doesn't he, our Bill?
Good night, Roddy.
You fancy a nightcap? Start afresh with a bubbly? Why not, George? I think I will. Of course, Bill's got the glamour, hasn't he? Not like some of us. Star quality, I call it. One of the very few. I'm told the women literally bow down before him. If that's what women do.
Good night.
Love to Anne. Everybody's love to Anne.